Hi everyone. If you are struggling with falling asleep, it's time to listen. Hi, I was over at my grandpa's house yesterday. He and my Nana got new phones and were trying to set them up with my help. We called customer support. My Nana was trying to increase the font on her phone and the customer service rep was guiding us. As we were working on our phones, my grandpa got agitated. My Nana was trying to ask questions to the representative and several times my grandpa shushed her. I noticed, but I didn't think it was a big deal and was showing my Nana the settings on my phone and how big I could make my font. My grandpa leaned over and said, "Shut up." I said, "No." He said, "I'm telling you to be quiet," and I said, "No." Then he stood up and took his jacket off and said, "Get the hell out of my house." I said, "No." He said he was going to call the police, and I said, "Fine, go ahead." My Nana grabbed my arm and told me to stay with her at the house too. He was yelling at me and told him he was mean and a bully, and that's why none of his grandchildren call him. He told my family, and my aunt texted me to apologize, but I can't, because what I said was true. The other grandkids don't like him, and he doesn't have a lot respect. His whole life he goes into these rages, and in my late teens, I stayed with him, even though I don't currently. And he kicked me out twice, one for breaking curfew because I didn't have a key to the house and couldn't get even if I made it home. The other time was for something I don't remember. My younger brother, when he turned 18, stayed with him for maybe 2 months, and then he got kicked out for not talking to him enough. My older sister lasted maybe 4 months. Then he flew in a rage and kicked her out, too. I don't know all the details. But anyway, he goes through these moments where he's disappointed. Nobody talks to him because he has a lot of wisdom to impart, and everyone is missing their opportunity to know him. He asks about my siblings, and I started to say, "Do you need their numbers?" Because he wants information, and my siblings do not want him to know about them. He says, "I'm the grandpa they should call me." Am I the asshole? My friend and I have known each other since we were 15, and the years he's had a pattern of being kind of mean. I got bullied a lot in school, and while he didn't exactly join in, he always laughed along and made fun of me. I didn't really mind. I just needed PPL to hang out with, really, LOL, and they tolerated me. And later on, after we started talking one-on-one, he got a lot nicer, and we even started watching movies and TV shows together, and he even read some of my favorite books that he used to make fun of me for. He didn't really try to stop the bullying, but he wasn't laughing along anymore. He just kind of stopped getting involved at all and validated my feelings when we were alone. The trouble kind of started when he did 2 things that sort of betrayed my trust, and I didn't really know how to feel about it. He knew some girls were planning to trick me into showing up to the school formal alone, and helped them. We decided to get the old group together to hang out, and the second he was around them, he started making fun of me again, and didn't go back to normal after that. He did some stuff after, but that was the main turning point that changed things. I kind of tried to say how it made me feel. He apologized for the first thing, but he told me I was kind of just being over-dramatic for the other. He was kind of generally just sort of rude. I had a whole plan to get a leavers gift for our history teachers as a group, and he barely helped, sitting back and being super demanding of me doing everything and making me walk all over town to chase after him, all while he kept making weird passes at me, or what I thought sounded like weird passes, just so he could contribute a couple quid to it, which, honestly, I'd rather he just PayPal'd me or something. I mean, I know it was my idea, but it's kind of mean emo to join the group and then hurl slurs at me for forgetting to pick up cards while I was out, and mostly, for this post, He had a big habit of showing up super late every time we hung out. For context, I'm in university RN with no friends at all, and he was back in town for Christmas. I was super lonely, which he knew, and I said we should hang out, and he texted me that he'd be around 5:10 at the most men's late. I was waiting in the cold and rain for 20 minutes for him, and the whole time thinking about how he was just probably going to make me mean again, and my family was going to see the Christmas lights in the city, and I just wanted to hang out with them instead. I feel really bad about this, but I texted him saying I was really sorry, but I'd been waiting 20 minutes and had other plans, so I was just gonna head on. He texted me back saying verbatim, "Say this, instead of wasting my time, fucking hell. Don't say we should hang out when I'm back then, dip, because you have to wait a while. Christ." I feel really bad, but my parents are saying I'm NTABC of everything has done before. AI. My sister-in-law, who is married to my husband's brother, sent my husband and I a text asking what day we were planning on heading to my husband's dad's house to celebrate Christmas so that they could meet us there. For context, they went no contact with us for a little over a year and decided to reconnect this year. We tried reaching out multiple times to find out why and never got an answer. Fast forward, my husband's brother finally reached out because he missed him and explained, I shit you not, that he was offended because I was surprised he had a Pinterest account and he didn't like my tone when I showed my surprise. His wife also was offended by me for answering the multiple questions I was getting about when I was going to start having babies the day after my wedding with the following, I do want to wait until my mom can apply for her visa so that she can come and be with me during postpartum. This one I understand because her mom had passed away a year before that. However, I wish they had told me that was the issue when I kept reaching out instead of ghosting us. They also said my personality was too much for them, and the constant invitations to do things was overwhelming for them and seemed fake. My personality isn't for everyone, cool, but the invites were group invites I was sending out to our friends, and I was just trying to include them. Now this year, they reached out and said they realized they may have over-exaggerated and want a relationship after all. However, I simply don't care to have one anymore. I tried to have a good relationship with them before they cut us off and would babysit and love spoiling their baby girl. It hurt when they cut me off without any explanation. And at the time my own family was falling apart, so I was excited to join theirs. They also convinced my mother-in-law to cut me off, and she spoke so much shit about me to all of my husband's family. Now that they have 2 more babies, I recognize their effort in trying to have some sort of connection, and we've had play dates and met up. I simply don't want to spend my holidays with them, and it annoyed me that her text wasn't her asking if we are open to celebrating Christmas together, but just asking for a date that would work with us. I ended up replying to them that we weren't really planning on going to their dad's for Christmas when they were, and that we're trying to keep these holidays super casual and not overwhelming for us. I also said that the assumption that we were down for that kind of threw me off, and I just want to be transparent. Am I the one overreacting now and being the asshole? I'm using a throwaway as I don't want the drama of this on my main Reddit. I hope you all understand. I, 36F, lost my fiancé nearly 11 years ago in car crash. We were both in the car, but I got out with only minor injuries while he died instantly. This messed me up quite a bit, and I was in and out of therapy and support groups for years over this. The support group is where I met my current partner, 45M. He is a widower who lost his wife to cancer, and we understood each other's pain a lot and bonded over it. 3 years ago, we started dating, and we moved in with each other last month. I've remained close with the family of my late fiancé since I lost him, and they were a great support to me in the first few years. However, his mother, 61F, asked me last week for the ring he gave me back, since I'm now seriously involved with another man. She said she wanted the ring to keep in the family, and it'd mean a lot to have it. This upset me. The ring he gave me wasn't a family ring, and it's garnet and emerald ring he picked out because those are our birthstones, and I didn't want a traditional diamond. We picked the ring out together, and he saved for months to get me it. It holds a lot of beautiful memories for me, even if it's bittersweet. I'm now at a point where I can enjoy the good memories without too much pain. Me being in a relationship now doesn't mean I have this ring gathering dust in a drawer somewhere. I wear it on my right hand now, the same way my partner wears his wedding ring. We both feel it's okay to honor our lost loves this way, and neither of us have any jealousy or negative feelings over this. Hell, we have a picture of my fiancé and his wife on the wall of our living room. I told her I could understand if it had been a family ring he'd inherited, though. That would still have made me feel a little weird to have her asking for it back. But it isn't a family ring. It's my ring that we picked out together, and I plan to wear it for the rest of my life. She insisted it should be back in the family, however, and that she wanted it, as it was the last major purchase he made before he died. I ended up hanging up on her as I was so upset, and I've been avoiding her calls since. My partner is angry on my behalf that she even asked this and told me she was being ridiculous, and that I should wear the ring as long as I want to. I can't help but feel like I'm being punished for finding someone to make me happy, that I was supposed to mourn him forever in her eyes. I've spoken to my parents about this too, to get their insight on it, and my mom feels that maybe I should give the ring back as his mother is clearly just hurting and wants to hold on to something of her son. My dad, meanwhile, says he can see both sides of this and it's my choice. I don't know. I might be a bit too emotional over this. Am I being the asshole or unreasonable here? I, 23, rent a house with 4 of my buddies from college. We have done this for 2 years. It helps that not only are we great friends, but we have a system of deciding house rules. A majority vote. Disagreements on cleaning? Majority vote. When to make quiet hours for the night on weeknights? Majority rules. It has kept everything flowing smoothly. Anyway, one of my friends moved out last month to get a place with his girlfriend. He found a friend of a friend to take over his room. The guy was nice enough, but then he came to us with a declaration. Apparently, he was uncomfortable that we're not always completely dressed in the house. No one is a nudist, but some will sometimes not wear a shirt or just be in pajamas or boxers or underwear when lounging around the house. I admittedly am one of the 2 of us that does it the most, as I usually just lounge around in boxers or other underwear. We all met each other through a sport, so we're comfortable seeing each other like that. Anyway, I guess the new guy was caught off guard because he asked if we could constitute a clothing on rule in the house. As usual, we did a vote, and the rest of us thought it was unnecessary. So there was no rule. But I did start wearing clothes more, though there were some times I didn't bother when I just woke up after showering, when I was just coming out to my room for something, etc. Just to be considerate. Apparently not enough. I noticed that even though we always all gave notice before people coming over, he stopped doing so. I found myself a few times just in my underwear when he rolls in with a crew. Got a couple of weird looks, but I just excuse myself and get dressed. I told him once if he gave me a heads up, I'd be dressed before they got there, but he just rolled his eyes. One of my other housemates has also run into this issue. Anyway, the other day he came to me and my other housemate and asked if his plan to shame us for never wearing clothes worked. We looked at him weird, and he said that he was purposely trying to embarrass us by having people see us. We said we're not embarrassed, we work out for a reason and weren't going to change his habit. He stormed off and started smack-talking us to the other roommates. AITA? I was participating in an EU student exchange program where me and some people from my grade would go to Cologne, Germany, and then the people from Germany would come to Zaragoza, where I'm from. They came here in October and would stay for around a week from Monday to Saturday. On Thursday, we all went together through Zaragoza's city center. It was great, and the teachers allowed us some free time to go around the city. The girl who had hosted me back in Germany, and who I was now hosting, wanted to go with her Spanish friends to some restaurant to have lunch. I didn't have a problem with that for as long as she shared her location with me in case something happened. And I went with one of my classmate friends, who was also part to the exchange program, to a different restaurant to have lunch. The day was great, and by the next day I had forgot about that interación completely. However, in our final day, where we were supposed to be at school the whole time and receive some diplomas, one of my guest's friends came over to me and said I had to pay for my guest's lunch yesterday, which was 18 euros. I asked why, and she said it was because they had all agreed to pay for the Germans, and since I wasn't there, she paid for my guest, so now I owed her 18 euros. My friend is getting married next year on Halloween. His wedding is child-free, which is fine. I am not part of the wedding party, but he has asked I give a speech along with our other two friends. We also work together every day. My child is going to be 4 next year. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays, and I feel like this will be the first year my toddler truly understands the concept of trick or treating. I am already dreading potentially having to miss this. You only get so many firsts in your child's life. She is and will be my husband's and my only child. I realize a wedding only happens once, but in my mind, every holiday is a first with a child so young. Would I be the asshole for skipping the reception and thus not being included in the speech to take my daughter trick-or-treating? I would have agreed to this, but the fact this had been arranged without telling me, and after it had been done, made me not want to agree to pay for her. I told her that I wasn't paying her because I never agreed to this, and she told me that I was the only one who hadn't paid, so I owed her money. I told my guest about it, and she confirmed that had been arranged. However, she wasn't told that I was the one who was paying for her. They had simply said that the Spaniards were paying for it, but she thought it was just her friends, not me included. My guest decided to be the one to give her friend the 18 euros, not me. It's been 2 months since this happened, however, while at the time I did think I was on the right, because I literally knew nothing of this until I was apparently in debt with my guest's friend. It might have given a bad look that I was the only one who refused to pay for my guest. My 21F parents had a get-together lunch among close family members last Sunday. Me and my cousins were adding wedding dates from the piling invites to the calendars to make sure we don't miss any. I was joking about never understanding the familial ties in our native language, as in how you call cousins or aunts, or just the word in our language, as I was used to learning those words in English. My grandma, through my mother, was joking about how I am being too Western and was helping me connect how I was related to the people in the invites. 4 invites in, me on a roll with being too loose-mouthed from all the food I was eating, asked my dad how the father of the bride in the invite was related to him. He said, cousin, and I should have stopped there, but did I? No. I was bored, so I asked him to detail it more. He said, well, the bride's grandfather and his mother are siblings. He paused and added, oh, well, I would also be his bride's father-uncle too. Now listen, I know incest used to be a thing. I know it used to happen. I didn't know it happened in mine. So I grimaced and started laughing uncomfortably. My uncle started explaining more, seeing my disgust. Long story short, my grandfather is my grandmother's uncle. My grandmother's mother and my grandfather are half-siblings. I edited it from step to half-siblings. I made a mistake in the wording, so my grandfather's dad and grandmother's grandfather are the same person. Me and my cousins starting making those gagging noises while pushing the invites away and grimacing while walking around, and our parents tried overcompensating with excuses. I know they don't owe explanation for the choices of their parents and the others preceding them. The generation above mine share the sentiment that incest is a big no. I don't know why they kept defending it, but yeah, here is where I said something fucked. I asked my dad if he realizes that his grandfather and his mother's grandfather are the same person. I added it with a children born from incest have higher chances of intellectual disabilities. Right? My cousin added explains why my brother has that. And I immediately started nodding and said exactly. My cousin does have mental disability and is nonverbal. Both me and my cousin were screamed at, and told to come back home later. I know it is fucked to say that, but me and my cousin were just getting more and more uncomfortable. We came back later and apologized. But my uncle and aunt refused to speak to me and my cousin. So aita for saying that my cousin's intellectual disability is probably because of the incest?